In less than 2 months on air, Perfect Crown, the highly anticipated drama starring IU and Byeon Woo-suk, transformed from the most anticipated royal blockbuster of the year into the center of an unprecedented cultural controversy in South Korea. What shocked the public was not declining ratings or criticism over acting performances, but the fact that viewers directly submitted a petition to the National Assembly demanding the drama be cancelled and completely removed from streaming platforms. A fantasy series. A royal crown. One ceremonial phrase during a coronation scene. And suddenly, an entire nation exploded into debate. This was no longer just entertainment. It became a battle over national identity in the age of globalized content. From Disney Plus sensation to cultural political crisis. When Perfect Crown was first announced earlier this year, the Korean entertainment industry was almost certain it would become MBC's flagship project. The series possessed every ingredient of a hit drama: a fictional royal setting, a contract marriage storyline, a strong female lead, luxurious visuals, and 2 of the biggest stars in Asia. The premiere episode achieved a nationwide rating of 7.8%, an impressive number at a time when traditional Korean television continues to struggle against streaming platforms. By episode 12, ratings had climbed to 13.8%, proving the drama's massive popularity not only in South Korea but also across North America, Latin America, and Southeast Asia through Disney Plus. Yet ironically, as the drama gained international attention, domestic backlash intensified. Korean audiences were not merely uncomfortable with a few artistic choices. Many believed Perfect Crown had crossed one of the most sensitive lines in modern Korean entertainment, blurring the distinction between Korean and Chinese cultural identity during an era of heightened sensitivity surrounding history and national heritage. One word that ignited a national firestorm. The controversy exploded during the coronation scene of the character Leon. In the sequence, royal officials shouted Cheonse instead of Manse. For international viewers, the difference was almost invisible. But for many Koreans familiar with East Asian history, the distinction carried enormous symbolic weight. According to online discussions, Cheonse was historically associated with vassal states, while Manse symbolized the sovereignty of an independent nation. In other words, critics argued that the wording did not merely represent a script mistake, it implied a lower political status within the ancient East Asian hierarchy. The backlash intensified further when viewers noticed the king's crown featured only 9 strings of beads, a design traditionally associated with subordinate rulers, rather than 12 strings reserved for emperors of sovereign nations. In an era where every frame can be dissected by internet users, even the smallest visual detail can become political ammunition. No longer about television, but fear of Chinese influence. What makes the situation even more fascinating is that Perfect Crown is technically a fantasy drama with no direct connection to a real Korean dynasty. Yet that became the core paradox of the controversy. For many Korean viewers, fictional does not mean free from cultural responsibility. Over the past several years, South Korea has repeatedly faced debates over Chinese influence in entertainment. From historical costumes to traditional food and palace ceremonies, any element perceived as too Chinese can trigger explosive backlash online. Critics accused Perfect Crown of going too far by using ceremonial aesthetics associated with imperial China, designing visuals that resembled Chinese palace dramas, depicting tea culture more aligned with Chinese traditions than Korean customs, and incorporating symbols of political hierarchy considered historically inappropriate. Some internet users even labeled the series a Chinese drama disguised as a Korean drama. That explains why the petition to the National Assembly quickly surpassed 17,500 signatures, demanding not only post-production edits but the complete removal of the drama from VOD and OTT services. Why did South Korea react so strongly? Perhaps the most important question is this: why would audiences react so aggressively to a fictional story? The answer lies in how South Korea now views its entertainment industry. Korea no longer sees dramas, music, and films as simple commercial products. They are instruments of national soft power. Every global K-drama, K-pop group, and Korean film contributes to the country's cultural image worldwide. As a result, when a Korean production is perceived as weakening or confusing national identity, public reaction often escalates beyond entertainment discourse. Viewers are not simply watching television. They believe they are protecting cultural sovereignty. That is precisely why the controversy became so serious that the Korea Creative Content Agency, KCA, reportedly began reviewing the project's nearly $2 billion government support package. If the series fails its final evaluation, the production team could potentially be forced to repay the entire subsidy with interest, a devastating and almost unprecedented consequence for a mainstream television drama. IU and Byeon Woo-suk, stars trapped in the middle of the storm. At the center of the controversy stand IU and Byeon Woo-suk, two stars originally expected to become Korea's next iconic on-screen couple. Instead, both became targets of criticism. Byeon Woo-suk was accused of stiff acting, awkward pronunciation, and lacking the commanding aura necessary for a royal character. Meanwhile, IU faced criticism for appearing too similar to her iconic role as Jang Man-wool in Hotel del Luna, from her cold gaze to her slow delivery and familiar, powerful elite woman image. As pressure intensified, both actors released handwritten apology letters to the public. Director Park Joon-hwa and writer Yoo Ji-won also publicly accepted responsibility and removed the controversial coronation scene entirely from the replay version of the finale. But for many viewers, the apology arrived too late. Could Perfect Crown change the Korean drama industry forever? The most terrifying part for producers is not that a drama failed. It is that Perfect Crown may establish a dangerous new precedent, audiences directly applying political pressure to fictional entertainment content. If the petition eventually surpasses 50,000 signatures and reaches formal review by the National Assembly, the Korean entertainment industry could enter a new era where every symbolic detail is subjected to extreme scrutiny. From now on, success may no longer depend solely on scripts, performances, cinematography, or ratings. It may also depend on every line of dialogue, every hairstyle, every royal ceremony, every bead hanging from a crown. In the social media era, pop culture is no longer just entertainment. It is a geopolitical map of cultural power. And Perfect Crown has become perhaps the clearest example yet that even a fantasy drama can ignite a very real cultural war.